Hello my fellow degenerates, CookBoss88 here, and today I will be listing the top 10 Philippine folklore monsters. For my Filipino viewers, you may find most of these monsters familiar, but in researching stuff for this video, I found other creatures that are previously unknown to myself, so you might want to stick around. Our first entry at number 10, we have the PUGOT. In the Filipino mythology, the PUGOT, or also known as the decapitated one, is a mythical fiend that is found in the Ilocos region. It can assume various shapes such as hogs, dogs, or even as humans. However, it usually appears as a black, gigantic headless being. The creature usually resides in dark places or deserted houses. Aside from its shape-shifting abilities, the PUGOT can also move at a great speed, feeding on snakes and insects that it finds among the trees. It feeds by thrusting food through its neck stump. Oh, how utterly gross. Although terrifying, the PUGOT is relatively harmless. However, the creature is fond of women's underwear and steals them while they are being dried on a clothesline. If there's any kind of Filipino folklore monster that needs to be sent to horny jail, this would be it. Our next entry at number 9 is the SIGBIN or the SIGBEN. The SIGBIN is said to come out at night to suck the blood of their victims from their shadows. It is said to walk backwards with its head lowered between its hind legs and to have the ability to become invisible to other creatures, especially humans. It resembles a hornless goat but has very large ears which it can clap like a pair of hands and long a flexible tail that can be used as a whip. The SIGBEN is said to emit a nauseating odor. So in other words, the Philippines' own version of the chupacabra. It is believed to emerge from its lair during Holy Week, looking for children that it will kill for their hearts, which it fashions into amulets. As gruesome as that sounds, that is quite a pretty metal way to die. The myth is popularly known in Visayas region and Mindanao. It is also said that it looks like a dog and owned by rich people who hid them in jars. Our next entry at number 8 is the BUNGISNGIS. Smiles can bring such a light and happy feeling to people, but what kind of feeling would you get if this was smiling at you? The literal meaning of the BUNGISNGIS is derived from the Tagalog word ngisi, which means to giggle. Yeah, I don't know about you, but giggling would be the last thing I'd be doing if I saw this in the middle of the night. Having a humanoid shape, it has large teeth which are always showing, and its upper lip covers its face when it is thrown back. Two long tusks project from the side of its mouth. The Cyclops' only eye is found in the middle of its forehead, but this is compensated by its strong sense of hearing. It also has displays of unusual strength, which is shown in various artworks lifting and carrying water buffaloes above its head. At number 7, we have the KAPRE, probably one of the most well-known monsters of Philippine folklore. The KAPRE is a cryptid creature with the appearance of a phenomenally tall, long-legged, god type of creature that sits in big trees and smokes cigars. How classy! Kapres are said to dwell in big trees like acacias, mangoes, bamboo, and banyan, known in the Philippines as balete. It is also mostly seen sitting under those 4 trees. Kapres are not necessarily considered evil, unlike the MANANANGAL. Kapres may make contact with people to offer friendship, or if it is attracted to a woman. If a KAPRE befriends a human, especially because of love, the KAPRE will consistently follow its love interest throughout its life. Also, if one is a friend of the KAPRE, then the person has the ability to see it. If they were to sit on it, then any other person would see it. This proves KAPREs are the friendly type of humanoid. And at number 6, we have the TIKBALANG. I've talked about this monster before in one of my earlier videos, but I never got to go in depth into its information. TIKBALANGs are said to scare travelers and lead them astray. TIKBALANGs play tricks on travelers such that they keep on returning to an arbitrary path no matter how far he goes or where he turns. Supposedly, this is counteractive by wearing one shirt inside out. They aren't evil. In some cultures, they are even considered as guardians of nature and just wants to be left alone. So, furries, Please do not come to the Philippines and go look for it. It will not tolerate any kind of horny, so please leave the hunky horseman alone. He ain't about that. Next at number 5, we have the TIYANAK. Now imagine yourself just walking in the middle of a forest late at night, as one does, and you hear this. To anyone else, one might try to find where that sound is coming from and comfort the crying infant. But if you grew up in the Philippines, you would know that those cries are not from a helpless infant, but from an evil, bloodthirsty monster. The TIYANAK is a vampiric creature that takes on the form of a toddler or baby. Although there are various types, it typically takes the form of a newborn baby and cries in the jungle to attract unwary travelers. Once it is picked up by an unfortunate passerby, it reverts to its true form and attacks the victim, going straight to the neck and mauling the rest of its face. So when you find yourself in the middle of a Philippine jungle and you hear this, don't be a hero, just turn around and walk away. Up next at number 4, we have the MAMBABARANG. The MAMBABARANG is the Filipino version of a sorcerer that uses bugs, beetles, and other nasty creepy crawlies in their spells. The MAMBABARANG keeps his beetles in a bottle or section of a bamboo, carefully feeding them ginger root. When the practitioner decides to employ his dark arts, he performs a prayer ritual wherein he whispers instructions and identifies the victim to the beetles. The insects are then set free and to seek out the victim and gain entry into the body via any bodily orifice, the nose, mouth, ears, anus, or dermal breaks such as open skin wounds. Anyone else's skin feels like it's crawling, or is that just me? Next entry at number 3 is the Ebwa. In Tiguan lore, the Ebwa are corpse eaters that hunt in pairs or groups, notorious for stealing corpses in wakes. They are kept at bay by people staying up all night in the wake and by bright lights placed near the corpse. If 9 days and nights went by without successfully getting near the deceased, the Ebwa lose interest and leave the vicinity. In some cases, they stalk the house of a dying person, ready to steal the body after the victim expires. At number 2, we have the Duwende. The Duwende or Duwende are gnome-like creatures living in habitations near those of humans. They tend to be capricious, sometimes acting benevolently towards humans, and sometimes acting cruelly. They have large heads, most have beards and wear red clothes and dried squash fruits for a hat. Some only have one eye and big noses. Duwende vary in size with some larger than a human hand. Some duwende are good, others are bad. One may tell them apart by looking at their appearances. Good duwendes are colorful and have no intentions of harming humans. The bad ones are darker and have more malevolent approach towards humans. Now before we get to number 1, I'd like to invite all of you to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe to the channel if you're new here, and consider donating to my Ko-fi account. The link is in the description below. How convenient! Now up next at number 1, we have the infamous MANANANGAL, the most recognizable of all Filipino folklore monsters. It is described as hideous, scary, usually female, and it is also capable of severing its upper torso and sprouting huge bat-like wings to fly into the night in search of victims. The legend of the Manananggal is popular in the Visayan region of the Philippines, especially in the western provinces of Capiz, Iloilo, and Antique. There are varying accounts of the features of a Manananggal, like vampires, Visayan folklore creatures, and aswangs. Manananggal are also said to abhor garlic and salt. The name comes from the Tagalog word Tanggal, which means to remove or to separate, which literally translates as remover or separator. Now I ask you, my fellow degenerates, both Filipino and foreign, which one of these monsters can scare you the most? Comment down below your answer. This has been your fellow degenerates, Cook Boss 88, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. See ya!